Didn't see you there. Good afternoon, class. My name is the Film Wizard, and I have been blessed by having the special guest star here today, who is a horror movie and zombie fanatic, Louise the Infectious Disease Cheese, or Lydic for short. Now, Lydic has agreed that a major problem facing teachers today is that many students do not know how to interpret and analyze film correctly. All too often, teachers will play a film in class to pass the time, or because they did not feel like teaching a lesson. And students are left mindlessly soaking up information, but they are only getting a minimal amount of what they should be getting because they have not been taught more effective ways that could help them watch the film.
Teachers help students analyze novels, but there has not been as much attention placed on film. This is an important problem to begin solving because the ELA 20 curriculum document provides film as an example of literary text and mentions many indicators for film in Outcome CR 20.2.
Jesus! I never thought about curriculum connections! The ELA 30 curriculum document mentions the importance of being able to analyze film directly in Outcome CRA 30.2, which says, view and evaluate critical information and ideas obtained from First Nations, Métis, Saskatchewan, and Canadian visual and multimedia texts, including an advertisement, news broadcast, poster, and film. The 9 and 10 English curriculum documents as well both mention films in a way very similar to the 20 and 30 curriculum documents.
Ways that can help a student interpret film is to have them pay attention to specific filmmaking strategies, take notes, and study film angles.
Being aware of specific filmmaking strategies can help students develop a stronger understanding of why certain things are happening. The exemplar element that I will focus on is how filmmakers convince the audience to root for the protagonist. Lydic, did you know that filmmakers will generally have the protagonist entering from the left side of the screen and going to the right side of the screen, while the antagonist go from the right side of the screen to the left side of the screen? And this often gives us comfortable, happy vibes for the protagonist and angsty vibes for the antagonist. The reason for this is because we as humans, we're so used to reading from left to right that it becomes ingrained in our being that when something happens from the left side to the right side, it's more natural, and from the right to the left side, it gives us very off-putting vibes. Did you know that? Wow. Other techniques to help the audience feel for the main character are by giving them a dog. You can see that there's been a dog on my mug this whole time, which means you guys must like me a whole bunch, because there's a dog. Making them technologically inferior, making them against all odds, making them American, excusing violent behavior with the death of a loved one, and making the villain, if you want the villain to be likable, making the villain classy. Surely you folks can think of examples in those films that you've watched recently that prove some of these elements. Students taking notes is vital because it is the easiest and fastest way to create immediate engagement with many educational tasks. Writing things down not only gives you something to look back on later, but creates an active association between your brain and the content.
It doesn't have to be a whole page or even complete thoughts. Students should write down clues that may help them understand the film later, be they short descriptions or single words.
The teacher should encourage students to pay special attention to make notes of set design, lighting design, sound design, acting quality, and overall production management. The difference between quality and non-quality variations of these elements of filmmaking should be explicitly explained by the teacher beforehand.
Studying camera angles is essential for a student to be able to fluently and effectively articulate what they are attempting to say.
It also helps them decide if the filmmaker has used the correct shots in the correct moments. Without further ado, Lydic and I will show you folks examples of some of the many angles that are important. The long shot, also known as the wide shot, shows the subject from top to bottom. For a person, this would be head to toes, though not necessarily filling the frame. The character becomes more of a focus, but the shot tends to still be dominated by the scenery. This shot often sets the scene and our character's place in it. This can also serve as an establishing shot. The full shot frames the character from head to toes, with the subject roughly filling the frame. The emphasis tends to be more on action and movement rather than the character's emotional state. The medium shot shows part of the subject in more detail. For a person, a medium shot typically frames them from about waist up. This is one of the most common shots seen in films, as it focuses on a character, or characters, in a scene while showing some environment. Close-ups fill the screen with part of the subject, such as the person's head or face. Framed this tightly, the emotions and reaction of a character dominate the scene. Extreme close-ups emphasize a small area or detail of the subject, such as the mouth or eyes. An extreme close-up of the eyes is sometimes called an Italian shot. Being aware of specific filmmaking strategies can help students develop a stronger understanding of why certain things are happening. Taking notes on crucial elements of film, such as lighting design, sound design, plot elements, and character, can help students become much better at watching film actively and analytically. Paying attention to camera angle terminology can help students articulate their point better when they are writing about or discussing film. For any further questions or concerns, feel free to talk to the producer in person after class or by email at bjo935@mail.usask.ca.